have shown up, and I wanted to.
Push it up. Push the button up. There you go. Now try it.
Can you hear me now?
That's still not very loud. Is that all the way up? Closer to your mouth. Get it closer.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, it's on for sure.
Okay. Feels weird having something right in your face like that. I wanted to thank everybody, and I also wanted to kind of do a call out. If you were in our friends group, raise your hand or woo! Woo! If you are in our dinner club, raise your hand or woo! Woo! Okay. If you are a neighbor, raise your hands or woo. Okay, great. If you are a former student of Mike's, raise your hands. Woo! Okay. If you are a business partner that had worked with Mike over the years, raise your hands and woo. Woo! And if you are school personnel, let's hear it for you. Raise your hands and woo. Yay! Thank you. We did the wine and dinner club. I call it wine.
Dinner club is wine.
I call it. We were a little more into the food than the drink. Oh, and then if you are family, please raise your hands and woo! Our family has been so awesome during all of this, and we really appreciate that, as have our friends, colleagues, and neighbors. Everybody has been. Sammy's gonna take it from here, because I don't trust myself not to break down in tears, so he's gonna handle it.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Good afternoon. My name is Sammy. I'm Mike's oldest son. Again, echoing what my mom said, thank you all so much for being here today. And just to celebrate the life of a man who meant so much to so many of us. When I think about my dad, I still come back to the same three themes that I shared at his first celebration of life when he was still here with us. Father, coach, and loving husband. But now with the benefit of reflection and the weight of his absence and all the stories I've heard from just everybody else out there, I'd like to add one more. Purpose-driven leader. My dad was born into a legacy of sacrifice. He was the son of a Filipino immigrant and migrant farmer. He grew up understanding that opportunity wasn't something that was going to be handed to you. It was something that you worked for and something that you created for others. That belief became the compass of his life, as many of you all know. He didn't just talk about change, he built it. Whether he was fundraising for apprenticeship programs, mentoring students who didn't see college as the only pathway to success, or collaborating with business partners on creating workplace learning opportunities. My dad was relentless in his mission to extend a lifeline to those who needed it most. He believed deeply in upward mobility, not just as a buzzword, but as a birthright. And yet, for all of his professional accomplishments, he never lost sight of what mattered most to him, his family. He was the kind of dad who would throw baseballs until his arm gave out, who'd coach you through life's curveballs with the same patience that he brought to the batting cage. Even if it meant starting a school project at 9 o'clock at night. In addition to being an incredible father, he was also Wawa to his grandson, Micah, a childhood nickname honoring the watermelon-like physique that also captured the warmth and silliness that made him such a lovable grandfather who would photograph every single childhood memory, whether it was priceless or not. He was a devoted husband who lived by the motto, happy life, happy wife. And he meant it. He showed Matthew and I what a partnership was like: compromise, respect, and the occasional well time. Yes, dear. He was a devout Christian who was raised Catholic, but also found wisdom in Buddhist teachings. He was complex, but never complicated, and had a rare ability to be both deeply principled and incredibly approachable. He could be featured as a thought leader in a documentary about what school could be, and the next day be in the backyard throwing a wiffle ball. He was a gifted public speaker, a visionary, a tactical diplomat, but also a guy who loved to spend his entire day smoking meat on his big green egg, or binge watch television on his lazy Sunday, or fly fish alone on a rushing river. He rarely had a temper, choosing to shout at the San Francisco 49ers instead of CMS administrators, something my mom and I will never understand. Today, we'll hear from some of the people he impacted most: his family, his business partners, his students, his friends, and a fellow believer who shared his faith. Each of them represent a different facet of the legacy that he's going to be leaving behind. And while I miss him deeply, I take comfort in knowing that his purpose did not end with him. It lives on in the programs that he's built, the lives that he's changed, the Realon Academy High School, and the values he's passed down to me, my brother, and everyone that he's mentored. Dad, thank you for showing us what it means to live with purpose, to lead with empathy, and to love without condition. I hope that we make you proud. We love you, we miss you, and we carry you with us always. So we're going to have a lot of speakers to help exemplify the great person my dad is, and we're going to start with Michelle. She's going to lead us with an opening prayer as part of his early career, and hello, in faith.
I am going to do an opening prayer, but I do have a few comments first. I met Mike over 30 years ago when we worked at the Hosiery Association. We bonded early over our obsession with our dogs. I had a bulldog named Hubble, and he and Nona, of course, had a sweet little Bichon named Snooky. We had discussed at length whether we were going to love the children we would eventually have as much as we loved these dogs. Then Sammy came along, and then Matthew. I had my two girls along similar timelines, and we all discovered that yes, you could indeed, on most days, love your kids as much as you loved your pets. Our lives ran parallel for a long time, all of us trying to figure out our relationships, our careers, our parenting, and Mike and I, our faith. There were many afternoons that Nona and I in particular discussed at length that we had no idea what the hell we were doing on any of those fronts. Marriage is really hard, but also really beautiful. Mike and Nona's marriage became stronger over the years. Mine fell apart, and I became stronger over the years with their friendship. Raising children is really hard, and also incredibly beautiful. The kids, all four of ours, have grown into kind and loving people who are legitimately intent on making our world a better place for our kids and for all of us. Finding your vocation, what you are good at and what feeds you, is really hard, but it's also beautiful when someone finds it. We all know that Mike found his. And now here we are, experiencing the loss of someone we love and respect, and man, that's really hard. But it can be beautiful too. There is beauty in how Nona walked beside Mike through his illness and his death. And there is beauty in coming together to honor the relationship each of us had with Mike and with everyone who loved him. So this is a prayer that is torn from my Catholicism for Dummies book that Mike and I would reference over the years. And it's a psalm that I shared with him during the last weeks of his life. I think it brought some peace to him, so I thought I'd read it today. Whither shall I go from thy spirit, or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend to heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in Sheol, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there thy hand shall lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. If I say, let only darkness cover me, and the light about me be night, even the darkness is not dark to thee. The night is bright as the day, for darkness is as light with thee. Amen.
Okay, next we're going to invite Susan up, who's part of their dinner club or wine club, depending on your preference.
I didn't think she was talking about us because she said dinner, and I think of wine when we get together.
I do too.
I'm just going to say a couple of words because I just found out yesterday that I was talking about Mike and I really relish the chance to do this. When I think of Mike, the one word that really comes to mind is kind. In everything he did, in the way he treated his family, his friends, those of us who celebrated wine with him, he was always kind. One thing really stands out for me. Mike and I both had diagnoses around the same time of serious illnesses, and mine luckily could be corrected through surgery. And I have to say that every time we got together at Les Amis, he was always there for me. He'd come over and ask how I was doing, and this was after he had gotten his diagnosis and knew that he only had a few more years to live. And that made such an impression on me that he was concerned about my health. And sometimes we commiserated together, but he was always so caring, and the word kind comes to mind. The other thing I think about when I think about Mike is how strong he was, and Nona too. Last year they hosted Les Amis, and I don't know what I expected because I hadn't seen Mike for a few months, but we walked in and he was in the kitchen surrounded by pots and pans, cooking like he has always done, and I was just amazed that he could do that. He seemed to have a good time, the food was delicious, and we really appreciate that. So I just wanted to say that we are going to miss him terribly in Les Amis, and I will miss him so much. Thank you.
Next, we're going to invite up Pam, who's been our neighbor for over 30 years, I think. So, welcome, Pam.
I tried to calculate it, and I'm not sure if you were born, but Matthew was not. He was born shortly thereafter. Okay, I've never talked in the microphone.
Keep it close to you.
It's always hooked to something, and I can get down.
Yeah.
It's gotta be
Like
up
you're
here.
going to lick an ice cream.
Absolutely. We got plenty of vanilla.
Well, hello, like I said, I'm Pam.
I'll be your microphone.
Hey guys, I'll see if I can turn it up for you. I don't know how
Well-
much it will or not.
If I get that close, then okay.
Closer you are, the better,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, I can do that.
Hang on a second before you start. Keep talking.
Okay.
Good.
My, that,
Good. Good. Try now.
okay. My husband and I have lived next door to Mike and Nona and family for almost 30 years. Mike and Nona hosted many dinners / parties for the neighbors on the street. Mike was always the head chef for these gatherings, and his cooking never disappointed anyone. He was great with the grill or the green egg. Mike amazed me with his knowledge of just about anything. There was no doubt that he would make an extraordinary teacher. He loved his job, students, first in Olympic and then at Palisades. He needs more teachers with his passion. When I found out he was teaching at Olympic, and I told him that, believe it or not, I was one of the first graduating classes I was in the first graduating classes at Olympic. And that's a big difference now. Because when in 1967, when I graduated, Olympic was not finished. We had no cafeteria. We ate off the back of a Carolina Foods truck. We had very few students. I had classes with 2 or 3 people in it. When I came from South Mecklenburg, we had 2,000 graduating. So it was a big, big difference. But I'll never forget talking to Mike about all this. And the day that I found out about his cancer, Mike was walking up from seeing the dogs in the back of the yard. He was walking up, and he stopped, and I told him how sorry I was to hear that. And he looked at me and he said, "Pam,
I have lived a wonderful life, and whatever happens from here is good. And Mike and his dogs. I love dogs. I've loved every one of the dogs he's ever had. And Baku was one that was, he wasn't the favorite, he wasn't the best mannered, and he had to be put down. But I loved that dog, and Mike loved that dog. So anyway, I wanted to remember Baku in this because he was just a good friend with Mike. Now, Peanut is still here. Baku is, I don't want to say be replaced. Dogs can't be replaced. He has a new partner named Lady. Now, they have a special bond with Mike. Every time I would walk in their house, Mike would be sitting in the chair on the sofa. The two dogs were either on his lap or on either side of him, and they did not want to leave. They'd stay there. So they were constant companions and a lot of company and joy when he was sick. I was fortunate enough to meet both of his brothers as they came and stayed with him during his illness. He was lucky to have both Gil and
Rod.
okay, I wrote Dale down. I don't know why I thought you did that. Their name's Dale. And Rod. They were wonderful with him, and they brought him a lot of joy and helped Nona out a lot as well. Mike was an amazing dad to Sammy, Matthew, and a Wawa to Micah, and husband to Nona. A lot of love was in this family. He is missed by all who knew him. He leaves a void in this world. May God bless Nona, Matthew, Sammy, and family, and all other family members, and help them find peace with their loss. I saw something today when I was reading in one of my little books. It was about, it says that I am not afraid of storms because I'm learning how to sail my ship. And I hope y'all all learn how to sail your ship to get through this. Thank you.
Thanks, Dale. Alex, I'm going to invite you up, one of my dad's former students.
We've got it turned up pretty good so it's loud. But yeah, if you just stand back a little bit, you're good. And hold the mic a little closer to your
Hello?
mouth. There you go.
Hi.
You're good.
I'm one of Mike's students. I graduated back in 2020, Olympic High School. He was one of my very first mentors at the time. And he helped me out a lot, guided me through all my lessons, and, gave me lessons that, as a first-gen immigrant, right, or first-generation American here in the United States, I felt that, when he was telling me his story, that when his parents, immigrated here, that maybe he saw something in me that, I put all my effort into it, everything that I could. Going on forward, he would give me lessons as far as, rejections, as far as jobs and everything. And, I always kept in contact with Mr. Realon. He was, it was an honor to meet him, honestly, because I felt like, God put him there in my life to, be a better person than I could be, as a young adult. And I was there at his retirement party. I remember asking him, I don't see a lot of young students, my age, that you affected or touched their lives as like you did to me. Because I know if I can't be the only one, right? And then he told me, well, yeah, I invited them, but some of them said they couldn't come, or they had other things going on. And that kind of made me upset too, because I thought, to thank him, just for showing up, right, for all the amount of stuff he did to us. I was like, you got at least, I drove from Asheville, where the time I was working, 2 hours to Charlotte, just for his party, because, he meant a lot to me. At the time, I didn't know much going on as far as his health, but I remember, everyone was talking to him because obviously it was a retirement party. I remember I pulled him to the side in the back and just started crying because, I told him, thank you for everything you've done to me, because I've never really had a person like that, growing up. Because, culturally, right, they always tell you, just go to work, study hard, and that's about it. But, he taught me more than that. And he'd always tell me, hey, Alex, and I got to the point where, I already knew what he was going to say. He was like, hey, Alex, people who graduated, more than 50% of them don't like their jobs. Like, yeah, I know, Mr. But yeah, it was an honor to meet him, and I'm thankful to know him, and I can see here that he has had a lot of friends, and just a lot of family too, and it's an honor to know you guys too at the same time. Oh, I forgot one thing. One thing I told him, and I always was telling him, and I'm kind of not at the point where I want to be at, because I always told him this, like, hey, Mr. Realon, one day I'm gonna invite you to dinner, because I want to buy you like a watch, a nice watch, like a Rolex, because to show him that growing up, I always see people wearing Rolexes, are bosses. And I always told him, man, Mr. Realon, you're a boss at the end of the day, because, you got all this going on and no one even knows. And I told him that at the retirement party when I was crying, and he had told me, hey, Alex, don't worry about that. I'm not into that type of stuff. That type of stuff, I don't really, I'm not into it. But he told me, he's like, hey, Alex, what I would really like if, you would do is, guide the next generation like how I did to you. And that's what I plan on doing too, the following generation, wherever I get to meet, whether it's like, a young, person, I see it the same way they were in my shoes when I was younger too, finding a way, guidance in a way, and just help. Okay.
All right, next we have Julie, my aunt, and Mike's sister-in-law.
I'm bringing up my emotional support sister. Public speaking is my worst nightmare, but it was important to me to speak today. I'm Mike's sister-in-law, Julie, and I first met Mike shortly after I met his brother, my now husband, Rod, and this would have been maybe 1986, I want to say, and one of my very first memories of being with Mike is that he had come over to watch a football game at our house. And being the Southern lady I am, I was in the kitchen making banana pudding, and in the South you serve it warm right out of the oven. Well, this was a marvel to Mike. Growing up in California, he did not know about this thing of baked banana pudding that you eat warm. He was a little skeptical, but he ate it and complimented me on it, which was huge. Hugely flattering for me, because we all know Mike has very discriminating taste, so that meant a lot to me. And years later, sometimes he would request it, and even in the last couple of weeks, he requested it. And a very special memory is sitting in your living room, Nona, with Rod and Gil and you and I and the puppies, and eating banana pudding. But the real reason I wanted to speak today is because I wanted to send a special thanks to Mike. By now, we all know the tremendous things he did as a father, a teacher, community leader, a volunteer, but Mike did something really important for me that I need to express my gratitude for, and that is he brought Nona Patterson into our lives. This was huge because Nona now has been my dear friend and travel partner and scrapbook partner and mischief maker, and occasionally we would have a glass of wine or five. And she means the world to me. She's everything you would ever want, not just in a sister-in-law, but a friend. She is steadfast in her loyalty, as most of you know. She's your best defender and your greatest friend if you need advice. And she also gave us our only two nephews. So along with Mike, thank you, Nona, for that. And these two nephews brought two beautiful, strong, intelligent women into our lives, Linnea and Maria. And our first great nephew, Micah. I don't know where he is right now, but Micah, yeah. So I just want to say, Mike, you won't believe, what it's meant to us to have you enlarge our family in all the ways, whether it's adding people or adding love or adding compliments that can really make somebody's day. So thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Okay, next we have Aunt Ginger coming up, who was such a huge help throughout the entire process. We hate going to doctors' offices. Nobody knows what they're saying, so she was our translator throughout the entire experience. And thank you. She traveled a long way to be here today, so thank you so much.
I'm Ginger Barrow. I'm Nona's cousin. As Sammy just said, I'm a physician, and I had the privilege of walking alongside Mike and Nona during these past 3.5 years. I'm going to share a little bit about his health journey. Mike was diagnosed with renal cell cancer in April of 2022. Nona was away. He learned of his diagnosis through a CAT scan, which appeared in his online chart. I received a text asking if I could talk. When we spoke, of course, Mike first asked how I was, the same of my husband, and the same of each of my children. Only then did he share the result. His first question wasn't anything medical, but was when did I think he should tell Nona, as she was soon to board a plane to fly home. His love for her so deep that she was the first thing he thought of. He decided to share the news once he got home, and then we became a team, with me as a medical translator, Nona as a family communicator and researcher, and Mike as the ever-steady source of reason and calm. Nona, thank you for the honor of being part of your team. The Realon Patterson holiday letter last year started with a quote from L.R. Nost. Life is amazing, and then it's awful, and then it's amazing again, and in between the amazing and awful, it's ordinary and mundane and routine. Breathe in the amazing, hold on through the awful, and relax and exhale during the ordinary. That's just living a heartbreaking, soul-healing, amazing, awful, ordinary life, and it's breathtakingly beautiful. Mike's health journey was all of those things. He went through immunotherapy on different regimens, sometimes with side effects. He had gamma knife for a small tumor in his brain and eventually had whole brain radiation. Some of it was awful, yet there was so much beauty and joy in his journey. As I thought about what I would say today, I decided to read through the Caring Bridge that Nona kept chronicling Mike's course. Nona, I so clearly remember everything you posted about, as well as our discussions and preparations and your never-ending research and Mike's constant practical calm. One thing that struck me as I read the Caring Bridge again was the time gaps between entries, and I smiled in my heart as I remembered all of the beautiful, wonderful adventures that took place between those medical moments. There was travel, California, Hawaii, the Florida Keys, Wisconsin, Tennessee, Disney, Stony Creek, Connecticut, where Mike and Nona always had the best coordinated outfits for my themed parties. And there was Vegas, baby, right? There was amazing food, big green egg instruction, fishing, sports viewing, including sometimes Mike cheering for his second favorite basketball team while wearing his lucky hat. We are from Boston. There was time with family, lots of it, and intergenerational living with Sammy and Linnea, with the brightest sparkle always being Micah. There was brotherly connection with time spent together, celebrating and caring for each other. There was abundant love and gratitude for Nona, and infinite pride for Matthew and Sammy and the incredible men they have grown into. Mike continued to work for the first 2 years after his diagnosis. He guided students as they reached their goals and potential, and continued to push the Charlotte school system to celebrate a new definition of potential. David and I were grateful to join Mike and Nona for an incredible celebration of life and career. There were many awards and much recognition for his impact before and after that great evening. It was all so beautiful. Perhaps a few of you have heard Mike talk about some professors out of Stanford who wrote a book, Designing Your Life. He mentioned this book and mindset occasionally or constantly. It was what he believed in and how he lived each day of his life, both in his career and with his friends and family. Mike continued to design his life throughout his illness. He continued to teach us about family and love and grace each stop of the way, as did Nona, Sammy, and Matthew. After reading The Caring Bridge, I was really missing Mike, so I decided to scroll his Facebook page. 2 of his last personal entries were on April 23rd and April 27th. April 23rd, he writes, "Family embodies love and support in life. I have been so fortunate and blessed. As I navigate the final battles with my 3-year war, my brothers came to Charlotte for my 10 consecutive days of whole brain radiation treatment to alleviate my serious struggles and celebrate our happy, successful lives together. What family could be." April 27th, Mike wrote, "Family and friends last night to make lasting memories. Southern pork butt roast started at 5 a.m. With Rod for 11 hours on the Big Green Egg, along with pasta a la Mike, mustard coleslaw a la Adam, and cookies a la Nona and Micah. What family and friends could be, exclamation point." We are all heartbroken that Mike is not here today, cooking up some feast on the Big Green Egg or in the kitchen and teaching us about the design mindset for our lives. It's awful. And yet, there is so much that is stunningly beautiful about his life, and especially the last 3.5 years. So much joy, so much laughter, and so much love. If Mike were standing here today with us, and I believe he is with us, I'm certain he would reference that last Facebook post and again say, "This is what family and friends could be." Thank you.
All right, next we're gonna invite up Adam, one of my dad's closest friends.
Thank you, Sam. All right. Okay. Hello, everybody. How's it? There we go. So, my name is Adam Pillsbury, and Nona asked me to spend 2 or 3 minutes talking about my friendship with Mike. That's a hard task. He's a Renaissance man. I think someone said he's complex, yet just right there, rock solid. That was a good description. I'll do my best. Mike and I met through work. I admired what he was doing and did everything I could to help. Then I changed jobs. But Mike and I had hit it off, and we connected in other ways. Fishing and food and family. Not long after we met, I learned he was into fly fishing, and I wanted to be. He said, "Let's go." Told me what I needed, and off we went. Mike was a great teacher. His best or most memorable advice, and Mike used the word memorable. I'll take that with me for the rest of my life. It's such a good way to describe things that have an impact. And this is very mundane. The memorable advice he gave me was about line tangles. He said, you're gonna have birds' nests. If anyone fishes, they know what those are. If anyone fly fishes, they absolutely know what those are. And he said, if I could handle that, untangle, get back on the water fishing, without throwing my rod onto the rocks, I'd be okay. That was sage advice. I figured out lines and knots as fast as I could, and it worked. We fished all over the place. You can fly fish. You can fly fish for darn near any type of species of fish. But we focused on trout. It's the classic, the first. And we started in the NC Mountains. He took me up to Wilson Creek, and after they put fish from the fish hatchery in the river, and as he said, fat, dumb, stupid fish, let's go. Because he knew I'd catch something, and he knew that I'd be hooked, and I was. And Mike always outfished me, always. But he denied it every time. Okay, I skipped ahead, and I'm going to stop, and I'm going to go back because it's important to me. I hope it's important to you. We started in the NC Mountains, but we broadened our horizons. We went to waters in Tennessee and New Mexico. And Mike did always outfish me, and he did always deny it. But I did have one day in New Mexico where it's debatable. I caught easily, I went off on my own and I caught a monster, just a monster fish. Easily the biggest one I ever caught and the biggest one we ever pulled out of that river. And then I went back and I fished with Mike. I fished down below him, and I watched him catch multiple fish, big fish. And I maybe caught 2 or 3. So I caught the biggest fish, but he caught the most, so I'll call it debatable. And I have pictures to prove it. Mike was a patient man, and that applied to fly fishing. He'd often fish in one spot for hours, or all day, or multiple days. He'd never get off the river if you didn't drag him off, and I did, because I knew he needed to eat, or he didn't need to eat, but he wanted to eat. So one of those spots is on the South Holston River in Bristol, Tennessee. We fished there a lot. Maybe the best trout fishing in the Southeast, if anyone's heard of it or been there, you know. And he fished one spot when he was wrestling with his cancer diagnosis early on by himself. And then he often fished there when I went with him as well. And I was there for his last cast. He hooked a big one, and I'll leave it at that. The rest is a fishing story. Our rides to Tennessee and other waters, we'd talk. We soon realized we both had a foodie streak. We talked cooking, restaurants, what we liked, what and how we cooked. I told him about the big green egg. He liked smoked meat as much as I do. Sorry, Julie. And he got one from his family. He soon realized what it could do, and we'd talk about the best techniques for pork butts and brisket. Mike always welcomed our sons, Sam and Jacob, when they chose to come on fishing trips. Mike and I both supported our sons in Boy Scouts. He would always ask about where they and our daughter Louise were headed, school, career, and offer to help. Mike knew my wife Ruth was into birds. He'd often ask how that was going. Through our long rides, our long ride conversations, and in person, I've had the pleasure to get to know Nona, Sammy, and Matthew. Where's Matthew? There he is. I know you were the center of his life because he talked about you all the time. And I've gotten to know the broader family through a text chat on food that Mike put me on. I think I'm the only non-family member there. Why? And you have welcomed me in. I have tried to be careful not to upset the apple cart, so to speak.
But you have.
And it's been an absolute pleasure. And I'm so grateful. I miss Mike. He was a best friend. You don't get many. And I only had a small slice. Such a mellow, gracious, fervent person. He had a calling, and it lives on. And he has friends and family that will never forget him for who he was. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Hey, just a quick note on technical stuff. When you're done speaking, don't pass the mic in front of the speaker because that's where the feedback comes from. You'll stay over here and don't be afraid to get close to the mic. I know it sounds loud to you, but it's not that loud 40 feet away. So this is better, right? You can hear this really well. This is how far I am from the mic. It's okay to do that. Continue.
You want me to do it again?
All right, next we're gonna welcome up my Uncle Gil, my dad's oldest brother.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike's older brother that no one listens to in the family. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for all being here. Sorry. Both Mike and my brother Rod are probably two of the most humble men I know for all their respective accomplishments in life. I think it's fitting that we're here today. My lovely wife over there under the umbrella, we both went to USC, and tonight there's a kind of big football game where Notre Dame plays USC. And I want to talk about brotherly love. So many, many years ago, living in Southern California, we have to call. What do you want for Christmas? What do we get young Sammy and Matthew? They're maybe 6, 7, 8, and Mike has raised them to be fans of Notre Dame. And you may see photos where he wears the shamrock on his cap from time to time. So I'm on the phone, and he says, you know, it's getting winter. You know, the kids would really like a Notre Dame sweatshirt. And I said, he's really testing brotherly love. And I say to him, okay, we'll get that. I couldn't do it. I had to have Bev, someone place the order for the Notre Dame attire at the bookstore for that Christmas so that it got shipped out to him to enjoy. It was just, I just couldn't do it. The other side thing I want to talk about, because it was brought up about Mike's April entry into the Green Egg. I don't get up at 5 a.m. to start a Green Egg, so I'm up in the bedroom. But my brother Rod is phenomenal. He's up at 5 a.m. with Mike. I took a photo in the wheelchair at about 7 a.m. as I come downstairs because it's Rod who I show up a couple days before that. I think we were preparing a meal for Father's Day. And hey, Harris Teeter has pork butt on sale for 99 cents. So I'm with Nona a few days before that, getting the biggest pork butt that exists. It was like 16 pounds of pork butt. We didn't have that many people showing up until Father's Day, so we got it out of the freezer, we thawed it out, and Rod and Mike were up very early, proportioning it in such a way that both pieces could be cooked up in time for our meal that afternoon. And I said to Mike while he was alive, you're such a food snob. Because he loved food, he could tell you. And many of you here are pretty much food snobs as well. But I had 3 wonderful years after he was diagnosed with kidney cancer. And we both enjoyed the time together. Thank you.
All right, next we have, who do I have next on the roster? All right, next I'm gonna have Eric, or better known as O, or Boss.
Mr. O.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I am Eric Olajarczyk. I am the current principal of Palisades High School where Mike had worked. Had the opportunity to work with Mike and know Mike for 14 years. Had first met him when I was the assistant principal at Olympic and then became the principal of Olympic. And when I think about Mike, first of all, it's extremely difficult to take a man of Mike's stature and caliber and I was racking my brain, like, what do I say? Because Mike has done so much. What are the adjectives that explain Mike and his impact on me? And there were a few that came to mind. Humble, which I heard. Compassionate, caring, friend. Change agent, like I've never seen before in education. And I think the thing that resonated with me, or the trait or the characteristic that resonated with me the most, that sometimes we lose sight of in public education, is student-centered. He was about students all the time, every single day. And his mantra and his belief system have impacted me like no other person that I have engaged with in my 22 years in education. And talking to Mike was the first time that I had heard about social mobility and how far Charlotte is behind in social mobility. I mean, we're still 50 out of 50 out of all the largest cities in the US. And that was Mike's passion and his mantra. And I know that we had talked about Mike was frustrated with CMS administration. I really hope that wasn't me. I don't think that was me. I think we had a pretty good relationship. And I definitely stood up for Mike, and I know there's some other people in this space that were colleagues of Mike that appreciated his work and understood his work. But the biggest takeaway that I have is when I look at this gathering, this is Mike's legacy. And we need more Mike Realons in this world. And so my charge to you all is to be a Mike Realon. And I can assure you that with my locus of control at Palisades High School, and some of my team that's sitting here today who have been impacted by Mike in the 4 short years that we have been open, that we will continue to be Mike Realons each and every day, and that we will continue to put students first in helping them to achieve social mobility and just a peaceful, happy life. So Nona, I really appreciate the opportunity to speak on Mike. He was an amazing man. I do miss him dearly, but I want you to know that his legacy will continue on through me and my staff each and every day.
I can confirm that my dad has said on a few occasions, if it wasn't for my principal, they would have gotten rid of me by now. All right, next I'm going to welcome up Charles Beatty. He is helping out with Realon Academy. What? Oh.
You got the first name right. You're right.
Oh, okay. I didn't make the list.
Out of my mind.
It's okay. You got the first name correct. It's Charles Wilkerson. Beatty is on our team, by the way. Wow. There's so much I could say today, and we're all here as a product, and if there's one thing I can tell you is the love that's around this gathering, and that's one thing for sure. I want to say this up front. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Eric and anybody that's dealing with the public education and CMS and all. My journey with Mike began, it was kind of an interesting journey. My youngest son graduated from, I had two sons that graduated there, but my youngest was the last to graduate Olympic, and he graduated when Olympic High School was just simply old Olympic High School. And the following year, they were going to start this new thing with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation thing, and they were going to break that up into small schools. And I thought then, I said, man, I am so glad I'm out of here. I am out of here. So little did I know, at about a year later, I get a call from this gentleman, Mike Realon. And I have a printing business in Steel Creek, but I also was president of the Airwood Business Association. He said, I'd like to have lunch with you. And I said, oh, okay. And thus began the explanation about the partnership that the vision that Mike had with the partners and the industry partners and the business partners. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And so I couldn't even hardly comprehend it at the time. But it was different than any approach that we had ever had from a business perspective that ever had been existed. Because it came to us not with a handout, but a hand forward of partnership. He said, yes, but what I need is not, financial, we're always needing money, but I need you to sit at the table. I need your voice. I need your input. I need your mentors. I need apprentices. And we're going to collaborate on how to figure out what industry needs and how we can work to bridge that gap. And he was that person that bridges the gap. So a decade goes by, we did this thing, we started, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. My kids were there when Olympic High School was deemed by a federal judge of committing academic genocide at that school. And from that to where we did a decade later, the growth in the thing was amazing. Now, here inserts, and I'm going to insert this, is as we began building things, we would get things rolling, steamrolling in a good direction. And let's just say that the public, the CMS people downtown would come and shake things up. Let's just call it that. And we'd have to start over. And then we'd do it, and we'd start building, and we'd get going, shake it up, start over. And about the third time into this thing, I guess it was probably a good 10, 15 years. And truly, Eric, when he became principal, he was the stopgap between Mike losing his job, to be quite honest. Let's just be honest with it. But here's what happened. I just said finally, after about 10, 12 years of this, I said, Mike, I need to just step away. Not that I will not be involved, but I'm just going to step away from this. I'll still be helpful. He was on our advisory board for the business group, kept us up to date. But I sort of stepped away because I was heavily involved. And about 3 years ago-ish, I guess it was, I got another call from Mike, and he said, hey man, I'd like you to come and have lunch with some folks. And you know them. They're all some of your business partners. And I said, what's going on? He said, just come have lunch. I was like, okay. So I did. And I sat down with these folks, and I listened to their discussion, and Clifton was, he was very heavily involved at Olympic. And he said, Charles, I want you to be on this team, this board, to start this high school, a private high school, or something outside of the public system. And I was like, what do you, what? 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 You want to do what? And so I said, okay, I mean, I'll play along. Let me talk to me about some things. And so things went along, and things kind of progressed, and we picked up some steam, and we met weekly for over a year, and we're still meeting. And along about the way, we sort of came to the realization that Mike came to our attention. Mike's illness was coming. His end was coming. And so here we are, putting together this private high school that we deemed at. We said we could have done it either way. We could have done a charter school, would have been much easier. But I told them, I said, hey guys, if we're going to build something, let's build it in our house, which we said early on that was the problem. We built and helped Mike build something which was wildly successful, but the only difficulty was we built it in somebody else's house. And therefore we were beholden to their changing winds and their changing of whatever. And he said, and that's the reason I said, okay, I'll be on board with this. And so therefore, and I said, somewhere along the way, the suggestion came up to using the model that we had with the partnership, along with the other things of collaboration, and using Mike's touch. And I can remember when I came home after that lunch meeting and told my wife, I said, had lunch today with some guys, and they want me to get involved in this education thing and build this high school. And she looked at me and she said, why are you doing this school stuff? Why are you still doing this? And folks, I can tell you, at that moment, I said to her, I never understood why Mike Realon came into my life. But I said, I see the path now forward. And the path was, he was showing us the way. He was showing us the way of what school could be and how to lift students up. And so our goal is going to be this, using those models, but also being in the setting that we're going to be set up in, is also educating students totally, meaning character, moral values, work ethic. These are the things that we're going to be able to do that if we were still within the public sector, be honest, we're somewhat handcuffed in that. So I don't disparage anybody doing that stuff, but I would tell you, right now, our journey is about to launch next fall. We've got a big hurdle. Just under 2 months ago, we began our capital campaign. And we are approaching almost $200,000 raised today. We've got our first hurdle that we're fixing to hit, which is $300,000 by the end of this month. It's coming fast to be able to pull the trigger here. But we need $500,000 to launch next fall. It is a total amount. I've worked with some great people. We've got some financial people. We've got, I think you may know Dr. Cindy Moss, which is a good friend of ours. She's on our board. And so we've got a lot. So this is, I brought some things today. I wanted to leave here with, share with you, but it's the Realon Classic STEM Academy. And we intend to carry forth the legacy and what we learned working with Mike, and to lifting students to become, as I think the way we put in here, students to do good while doing well. So I appreciate Nona. Mike's legacy does live on, and we're going to see to it. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Charles. And lastly, we're going to close with my little brother, Matthew. Come on up. And to that point, my dad, we've had a lot of people ask, we'd like to make a donation in my dad's honor. Like, how can we do that? The Realon Academy is what he would like folks to donate and help contribute to. So just wanted to put that out there as well.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming out today. Like my brother introduced me, I'm the youngest brother. And as I'm sure many of you feel similarly, there's hours, if not weeks, that you could talk about my dad, but I've been asked to bring it down to 2-3 minutes. So it was hard finding what I wanted to bring up, but I decided to focus on the word passion, because I think that that's something that my dad brought, and something that is very easy to tie into him. So there are many words that I could use to describe my dad, but I feel like the most fitting word for him would be passion. For as long as I can remember, my dad instilled in Sammy and me that to have a happy and successful life, the most important thing is to identify your passions. Luckily for me, my dad showed me examples of his success with this every day. Whether it was the passion of love he showed to my mom and brother and I, through his dedication to doing everything he could to make us happy, to making sure that once a week we would all get together for dinner, and he would be able to show us his love language of cooking. The passion that he had for his students and colleagues through his mentorship, whether it was searching for new internship and apprenticeship opportunities to give them alternative routes to college, through helping them to build out their resumes, or to grilling them with questions to make sure they were prepared for anything that could come up in their next interview. Dad had shown me what true happiness is. He showed me and Sammy how to be rich in life, and I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about something much more important, and that's love. Looking around today, I can see just how rich Dad was. From seeing, excuse me. From seeing friends and family come across the country to his past students and colleagues coming out, I can see how truly unique my dad was as a human being and the mark he left on this world. I want to thank you all for coming out today to share memories and stories of him. It means so much to me and the rest of our family. I'd like to ask you all to join me in a moment of silence for my dad. I'm very thankful for everybody coming out today. There's something that my dad did most days is he'd go out in the backyard with our dogs, Baco and Peanut, or Peanut and Lady, and he'd sit out there and he'd enjoy the nature, and he'd enjoy everything that he had created for himself and the lives that he had affected. And everybody in here has either been affected by him or you have affected him. I'm very thankful for everybody coming today.
Thanks, Matthew. That concludes all of our scheduled speakers. If anybody would like to say a few words, you're more than welcome. Otherwise, I think we'll conclude at that. How are you feeling? She's not ready. Okay. Well, then if anybody wants to come up, you're welcome to come up. I'll hang out here for a little bit, but otherwise continue to hang around if you'd like to. There's plenty of refreshments in there. And like Matthew said, thank you all so much for coming out. It means so much. I also want to thank my uncles tremendously and their wives and partners for all the support they gave us, especially in this last couple of months. Ginger for translating for all of us and being available to go through recordings over and over again. And all the friends and family who've helped support him, whether it's wine club or dinner club or through school, business partners, students. We always love to hear all the stories of how my dad's been able to touch you. He's touched all of us in so many different ways, and just want to thank you all for coming out and helping us celebrate.